Hello everyone, today on Binky's Thoughts, how I made my very own Sith Holocron. I am going to walk you through the steps shortly as we go through some pictures, but this is craft foam, this is old cardboard from Kleenex boxes, and it's a bit melty, unfortunately, because it was so hot these days, but I got this. Ta-da! It's gonna power up. Okay, there we go. I'll just kind of lean it like this because I have to readjust it. But basically, and so how I created my very own Sith Holocron. These are the Kleenex boxes I was telling you about that I cut up in the appropriate sizes that I chose for the Holocron. Since I couldn't find any gels, what I did is I painted paper. These were my tests, and I just basically did a kind of a black purple paint, 2 coats on just regular printing paper. These were on the cardboard, the drawings that I did for the design that I chose. The character whose holocron it belongs to is Darth Chromis from my fanfiction series. You can see the K in there for Chromis, the 2 back-to-back Ks. Cut out with an X-Acto knife. 2 sides were the same, and 2 other sides were a little bit more narrow. And of course I had my little square base through which I would put the light in that section. I went to the hardware store and I got the little light with the little battery and the little connectors. It cost maybe under 20 bucks or something like that. I actually spent more money on hot glue, basically. Seriously, it really wasn't expensive. I fixed it on my little base, which was of a thicker cardboard, to figure out how exactly I would have to place it and in which directions to know exactly, for my cutouts, the exact size for it to fit nicely. Hot glued my little stained glass paper as my little windows onto the holocron. Hot glued that to the main base. That's how it looks like from the inside and from the outside before gluing my outer base. My craft foam is a nice kind of fluorescent type of green before I paint it. To shape it, I had to squash it down a bit so that it wouldn't crack after painting it. I needed it to be shaped before painting because acrylic paint always makes it a little bit harder, and I used acrylic paints. I used a lot of hot glue to glue each side together. I had to hold it until the glue dried, and the glue I put it in on the inside all along the line. From the outside it looks a little bit crude, which is where the craft foam comes in. So I started putting things in. I would have to reshape the foam, cut parts of it to be able to properly glue the other sides together, so it still looks a little bit crude at this stage. Obviously, before gluing the foam, I had painted with a metallic color the exterior of the cardboard before gluing the inside window part to it so that no paint would overlap. Then I adjusted the bottom. There were still at the very top a few little cracks where everything connected and the light could still go through. So what I did is I added a little extra glue and I painted on top of that so that the light wouldn't go through. And then obviously I varnished it with the acrylic varnish that I have. 2 coats of varnish. I let the paint cure 3 days before putting it on. That's the minimum for the varnish, but sometimes I like to wait a week. For bigger projects, I tend to wait the full 30 days for the paint to cure. That's how it is for acrylic paint. And I waited a week between the 2 coats of varnish. I went very lightly on the paper so that it wouldn't bulge. And I had to do a few little adjustments, last minute touch-ups with a bit of hot glue where the varnish made things lift a little bit, but then I was able to patch it up quickly for it to give the final result of the holocron. So ultimately, this is the Sith Holocron. This is the shell of it and the light that goes inside of it. And I keep it as a decoration now. So if ever you were thinking of making your own Sith Holocron, now you know how. It has its own little imperfections. It's not completely perfect, but I like the look of it. And I'm definitely going to be using it for some cosplay photos for at least story 2 of the DarthShadie fanfiction series. So let me know what you think. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new here and you like my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications. Alternately, you can follow my website, binkyproductions.com, where I post everything from all my channels. Be sure to check out some of my other stuff. You can also join in on the fun on Patreon for some random, sporadic, occasional, exclusive content. Otherwise, just liking and sharing, like it if you like it, for the like it if you like it dance, supports this channel and helps people find it. And your continued viewership is very much appreciated. Masaranas.